Derwent Valley line is probably, well, in my opinion anyway, the most scenic one in Tasmania.
It climbs up through farmland, it goes through forest. It's a perfect journey and it compares to any other railway in the world.
The scenery on that line is incredible. I can't think of anywhere else that I've ever been in my travels that would match the scenery of travelling by train up the Derwent Valley.
The locomotive, that's where everybody wants to be.
Driving a train's a really great experience because you're working a big machine and pulling a lot of people on behind you, and you know, your aim is to give the smoothest and most comfortable ride.
A lot of younger people just wouldn't know what a train is, but it's just, it's got a lovely chink-a-chink, chink-a-chink, you know.
People get up and move around on the train. It's not like when you're sitting on a bus and you can't get up and move. So it was just a great atmosphere.
They used to put the table up in the middle of the thing and we'd muck around there, play in there with a couple of toys and that sort of thing, and look out the window and everything, and just take in the scenery and everything. But train travel was good, I always liked it.
And I think that's what we really want to create here is that living museum, that people can experience that and feel part of what's been a really important part of the history of Tasmania and the railways that have served the state so well for so long.
As trains moved through the 1900s, they just became less and less staffed, but in the early part of the century, there were heaps of people running the stations, all the produce collection, all the hops, all the apples.
My love of trains and all things railway started very early on. It was a lovely little mixed goods train, so you'd have all the groceries for the local shop, the beer for the pub. You know, the whole town sort of set its day around the train. You'd hear the train whistle in the morning, you knew that it was coming up, and whistle in the afternoon and go back through. And it was just almost like a little storybook railway, really.
The first ever trip on a train was when I was 2. It was pretty scary at first.
First time I got on a train would have been about 1957, 1958. The freedom as a 10-year-old was great.
My interest in trains has always been with me. As I grew up in New Norfolk in this actual railway yard, it was my playground. So passion for trains has been in my blood all my life. It's in me, and it's always going to be in me.
I'm not that passionate about trains. I'm more passionate about what we're trying to do here. I've always been interested in fixing things.
Well, I've always liked them. No outfit's complete without a small shunting locomotive, and nobody had bought one. Everybody thought I was nuts.
My favourite train is the one behind me, H5. It's an old steam loco, and yeah, that's my favourite train.
You know, there's a lot to know with trains, but then most things are there for a reason.
You don't get little pieces, all the pieces in trains are big, and the machining of them are, you know, we need big machines, and that's what I've been used to.
I started out sorting all our hardware in the nuts and bolts van, which hadn't really been looked at for a while. And then while I was doing that, I'd find lots of little pieces that would, I wonder what this does, or what's this sort of dome-shaped thing. Then I started looking at the gardens around the station and stuff, because they really hadn't had much attention for a while. And I found that very rewarding.
I think what keeps people going is the fact that we've done it before.
My main interest or passion was the operations when we were moving trains around. The passion of, being able to shunt, and which is basically marshalling trains, putting trains together, and etc. But now it's more with what a lot of us are doing. It's just keeping things going. It's fixing things, and just getting things back to so that we, for the positivity of what we do.
Traditionally, these sorts of organisations in the past have survived on government grants, handouts, but that's way too erratic and unpredictable to found a viable business on. So for us to survive and to be able to do the things we want to do to restore these vehicles, we have to have a business to create the cash flow to enable us to restore these old heritage vehicles.
We need the carriages. They're all like a part of history, and they're something that if we don't keep them, operating and in a serviceable condition, they'll just deteriorate and we won't have anything.
What we would do here would just enhance the whole come to Tasmania and travel around by train experience, and we haven't been able to keep the maintenance up on the line. So there would certainly need to be sleeper replacement and fixing up of culverts and drains and that type of thing, but that's all doable. We did it before, we can do it again.
The line is in reasonable condition. It doesn't need a lot of work doing on it. It's just going to be time.
All the bits of the jigsaw puzzle are here. We've got the locomotives, we've got the rolling stock, we've got the railway line most importantly, and of course such a group of dedicated people that just spend their weekends here working on equipment and getting it ready for the day that we can open the railway again.
The people here are a really eclectic mix.
I'm an artist as well as an architect, so I really like history, but I really like texture. I've been involved in a lot of conservation and building conservation.
We all get on well, we can joke.
One of the attractions at the railway is not knowing what you're going to be doing when you get here. The variety, I suppose.
I think everyone finds their own thing that they're passionate about when they arrive. It's not so much a delegated duty.
Initially I started here at the railway sanding down carriages and painting them. But since then I've become a truck driver. I have learned to weld, I've done all sorts of wonderful things.
Do a lot of sanding on most of the carriages and some train doors and stuff like that. I also go around and pick up stuff, put it in the bin to make it more tidier for the visitors and stuff.
Well, basically, I wasn't interested in trains at all. I'm a fitter and turner by trade, and I came over here to see if my services were required. I had to start work the first day I was here, and I don't think I've stopped since.
One of the things that I really like about coming out here is things being made, like the sound of things being made. It's not a building site sound. It's real metal work, real forging things, hot metals, welding, Lots of sort of magical things that you don't see so much these days.
There's a wonderful learning opportunity here too, and I think that's it's not just running trains. We've got a training program. We've got opportunities for all sorts of things. It's not just purely people playing trains.
We've got quite a few younger members, and the skill base would disappear unless we passed it on to people, because things aren't done this way anymore.
I like it because it's like old stuff, and you get to maintain it all, and yeah, it's really fun.
Yes, I consider a lot of the skills that are required here are skills that are going to be lost in the very near future, and they need to be passed on.
From our previous experience, when we were operating here before, the majority of our customers were locals.
When we used to run before, it was good. It gave everybody work, and it put money in, like in the local hotel, the shops and other places. And you got people up here that wouldn't have come normally.
I really like just the way the train goes along.
I have no doubt that people will be looking for tourism experiences closer to home. So I think if we can start offering more tourism experiences here, I think I'm pretty confident that Tasmanians will support that.
I hope that in the next 6 months we can put a train on the line outside this yard.
I would love to see this railway up and running on a regular basis. I'd love to see it employing people full time. I'd love to see it training people in restoration. I would also like to retire one day and drive trains, and you know, from a purely selfish point of view.
Trains sort of a release, you know, sort of getting away from any problems, anything that just doesn't make you feel good.
It's very rewarding because there's always more and more to learn.
I remain optimistic that this railway will run again, and it will be a great thing for this state.
No, I wouldn't give this up for the world.
I'm happy to be a guard at the back of the train, or I'm happy to be at the front as a fireman, or eventually possibly a driver. Being on the train and having it running would be what I'd look forward to.